reports are out that the leading candidate to take the defensive coordinator position with Ben Johnson in Chicago is Dennis Allen. So the 49ers already missed out on Jeff Ulbrich because he went to the Falcons. Now they're going to probably lose out on Dennis Allen. What if Robert Saleh, who it appears that they're putting all their eggs in his basket, what if Robert Saleh accepts a head coaching job? Have the 49ers already on January 20th, 2025, have they already dropped the ball on this offseason? Have they already effed it all up, for a lack of a better word? What is their fallback? If those three guys are gone, what are they going to do? Hire Brandon Staley? I mean, puke. No. Who wants to see that? I would have rather gave Sorensen another year, honestly. Man, this is crazy. It's like they keep repeating the same things over and over and over again. This team does. You know, Kyle Shanahan, it blows my mind. I would really love to know what his thought process is, because I don't understand it at all. You know, and honestly, if I was Robert Saleh, I would be offended. I would be so offended. I would call Kyle and be like, "You asshole." I would tell him, "Are you really not going to interview any other coaches, any other DCs? You're so sure that I'm not going to get a job with any other team that you're not even going to bother to interview guys? So what do you think?" Yeah, Robert, he ain't getting no job. Do you see how bad he effed up in New York? He ain't getting a job. I'm serious. If I was Robert Saleh, I would call Kyle and John and be like, "Screw you and your job, you assholes. I'm not taking that job. That's offensive." They're so sure he's not going to get another position as a head coach that they're not even going to interview defensive coordinators. That's crazy. They're fumbling this whole offseason already. We're not even to the NFC Championship game yet, and the Niners have already effed it up. You know, it gives you like last season vibes a little bit, because what is the holdup? Even if they wanted to hire Saleh, even if that was their guy, you still interview as many guys as you can. You don't just sit there, because you never know what's going to happen. What if Robert Saleh's wife comes to him all of a sudden and be like, "You know what, babe? I really don't want to live in Northern California. I really don't want to pay those taxes. I really don't want to be there. I want to be somewhere else." Anything. I mean, any number of things can happen. And the Niners are just going to kind of just sit back and watch as the whole rest of the league fills out their staffs and hires their coaches. Like, it's like every player that the 49ers want to have, or every coach, I mean, that the 49ers want to have or interview, they just sit back and watch them go somewhere else. So I don't know. It makes no sense to me at all. At all. They haven't hired a defensive coordinator. They haven't hired a special teams coordinator. They effed up the hiring of the offensive coordinator. How they even got somebody to interview for the OC job to fit in with the Rooney rules beyond me, because anybody who interviews for that job knows it's just a joke. So it's just crazy. It is. You know, it's funny because Kyle Shanahan, when he's asked how come Brock Purdy doesn't set his own protections, or how come Brock Purdy isn't allowed to audible in the way that most quarterbacks audible. I'm not saying, you know, can where you have two plays and you can go to the other one. I mean an actual real life audible. And Kyle's response to that is because he doesn't need to. Everything that he needs is built into the play. He just needs to execute. Well, damn it, Kyle. I assume that when the regular season ended, you and John put together a game plan for the offseason. So execute the damn game plan, Kyle. Are you freaking serious? Like, lock in, bro. I mean, if this is the game plan, then, I mean, how can any of the Kyle Shanahan superfans be like, we need to keep this guy? If his game plan is seriously to put all his eggs in the Robert Saleh basket and, wish on a star that he doesn't get another job, how can you defend that? How can you defend not interviewing potential coaches? I mean, it's been how many days? Same thing with the Brock Purdy contract. Now you all know that I am not an advocate for paying him $50 to $65 million a year. I'm just not. But if you already know in your head that no matter what, you're not going to make him play on the final year of his deal, you already know that, like you did with Bosa, like you did with Debo, like you did with Ayuk, like you did with Trent, like you did with CMC, you're going to cave. You're going to pay him what he wants. If that's what you already know, then just do it. Get it over with. Seriously, let's get rolling in the right direction. You could have paid him already for what? Since January 6th, I believe. So you've had 14 days where you could have got this done already. And I'm not saying that we're at any kind of a potential holdout, but what is the wait? I know that the 49ers know what Purdy wants. I know that they know whether or not that's where they're at. And I also know that they know whether or not they're going to match it, where they're going to come up to that number if they're not there yet. They know that they are or they're not. And if you're not going to do it, if you've already made the decision to move on from him, then do it. Do something. That's the most frustrating thing, I think, as a 49ers fan at this point, is they're doing nothing. It's crickets coming out of Santa Clara right now. And I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. At the end of the season press conference, they're saying how they know changes need to be made and they need to reevaluate this, that, and the other. Okay, I get it. You can't tell me that's not done. You've reevaluated. Now it's time to move on that game plan. Now, if the idea is to get rid of Brock, I understand that probably takes time and maybe, that wouldn't be done by now. But I am damn near 100% certain that that's not the avenue that they're going down. They're going to pay him. I don't agree with it, but that's what they're going to do. So get the damn thing done already. So that at least we as fans can have a little bit of optimism that at least you guys are all going in the same direction. You guys are all building towards unity. You guys are all trying to fix the wrongs of last season. Whether we agree as content creators and fans, whether we agree with the direction you decide to go, at least we can all see that you're going in the right direction, the same direction. I don't know if I'll say the right, but the same direction. You have a plan and you're executing it. You have a plan and you're taking it step by step. But right now, it looks like your plan is to sit around and hope everything falls into place. Get Purdy paid if that's what you're going to do. Get your DC signed if that's what you're going to do. Get your OC signed. Get a special teams coordinator signed so you can start focusing on the draft and free agency. Get your DC in place so that you know what kind of defense you're going to run, so you know what kind of players you're going to need to look at. I would like to think that if you hire a defensive coordinator, you're going to want his input on potential draft picks and free agents. You're hiring him to run a defense. You should want to know what his feelings are on that stuff. And The combine is in a month and 6 days. So it might be beneficial to get him in there a little bit earlier than the combine so that he can get a good look at what he wants to do. I mean, what do you wait? What's the holdup? What's the holdup? At least give interviews to other players or other coaches. I'm sorry. Give interviews to other coaches so that if the solid thing doesn't work out, you at least have an idea of the next guy who you would hire after him and what his ideas for a defense is and what players he would like to project to draft or what players he would like to sign in free agency. Because the way you're doing it now, I mean, it's not it makes no sense. And that's the most frustrating thing sometimes about being a fan under this regime is the way that they operate is just stupid sometimes. I was arguing with a 49ers fan. I wouldn't say arguing. I was having a back and forth with him a little bit on Brock Purdy's contract. And his thing was that players are paid on past performance. And my thing is, no, that's not the way it's supposed to work. You pay a player on what you project his output to be going forward. Now, you base that projection somewhat on his past performance, depending on how old he is, how many years he's played, what kind of injuries he's had, things of that nature. So, yes, you use his past performance to project his future production, but you do not pay him based on what he's already done. That's a stupid way of running an NFL team. But it sure as hell seems like that's the kind of dumb shit this team does. So, man, I don't even know. All I know is that up until this point, it really does feel like the Niners are effing up this whole offseason already, right off the bat. So my thing is Jed needs to hire somebody. Not and I'll get off the whole Jed needs to hire Kyle a boss thing. Fine, whatever. Jed needs to hire somebody that is his go-between, right? Somebody who actually maybe knows a little bit about football. Can't be Parag. But it needs to be somebody who can go in there and be like, Kyle, come on, Kyle. Let's get something going here, man. Like, we got to turn this around. We're trying to raise our even if he uses this phrase or this reasoning. Hey, we want to raise ticket prices again, but we can't do that if you keep putting this shit out on the field. So how about if we get some stuff rolling here and give our fans a little bit of optimism, a little bit of hope? Hey, Kyle, how about you don't be so stubborn and stuck in your ways? How about if you are a little bit self-aware and open to a little bit of change? And when Kyle's about to do something really dumb, like, maybe extend Debo's contract or renegotiate it and stretch it out. How about if somebody Jed hires just be like, no, Kyle, we're not doing that dumb shit again, Kyle. Let's just hold off on that right now. He just needs somebody in there, basically, not to tell Kyle what to do, more to tell Kyle what not to do. And maybe light a little bit of a fire under his ass from time to time. Because thus far, this offseason really don't seem like there's any urgency in this team. And I don't know. I feel like there needs to be a little bit more than none. I mean, at least put out some fake news. At least be like, yeah, we're interviewing this guy, and this guy, or we've completed interviews with this guy, this guy. At least fake it. Because, man, it just seems like at this point in time, in this moment, the Niners really are wishing on a star that Robert Saleh is not going to get a job. I would. I'll be like, man, you really think that little of me? You really think that there's no chance that I'm getting a job? You're so sure there's no chance I'm getting a job that you are not even going to interview anybody else. That's crazy.